Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Bleav.
BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, and UFC. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here.
This is the Bleav in the Warhawks podcast, part of the Bleav Network, with hosts Dusty Thibodeau.
I seem to be the only guy they can find to talk to.
And Chase Region.
Just offensive line, man. Still not getting credit for shit, and it's cool.
Chase Region, the offensive lineman genius extraordinaire, radio sideline reporter. How you doing there, Chase?
Man, it's Thibs, that's some, I'll cut you an intro. I'll cut you a promo next time. I wasn't prepared. It sounds like you gave that at least 5 minutes. So doing great, man. I wish, I'm in Texas now, so I wish the weather would figure it out. But I'm ready. I'm ready to do the pod today.
Yeah, I'm always ready. Not really that great though after another men's basketball loss to Houston Christian, and we'll get into that here in a bit. Women had a good showing against Mississippi State. 8-point loss, but I think that was a little inflated. I think it was about a 5-6 point loss. Again, we'll kind of pull back the covers on that. But Chase, we know you love ULM. You know I love ULM.
Absolutely.
Our first guest on the pod has made his way from the north to the Bayou. He was there for the Louisiana Lafayette game. He got the full experience. He loves some Flying Tiger. He's got the helmet. You see him all over the X. That is our guy, Section, who is cutting the promos for ULM Mentioned. Welcome in there, Section.
Hey, what's good? Chase, absolutely expert work over there. I was at the stadium, and between tailgating, watching Hardy break away those few times, watching all of those field goals we got, I would put in my ear like I'm a 67-year-old man wearing full-on headphones. Looks like he doesn't want to be there with a Walkman in his pocket. I was listening to those side-by-sides, and I was just thinking, man, if only you were back on the field.
Oh, that's first off, that's how you know you're a football guy. And here's a tip to anybody that really, really wants to, experience football the right way, in my head, in my personal opinion. If you're sitting in the stands, put the radio in your ears. You wouldn't realize how much great information you're given, from anybody. But I don't think, to go to your point, I don't think I would have been, I wouldn't have been better than what we had on the field this year. Like, our offensive line they played great, and I'm really proud of them. And I was, they got 2 like 6'6" tackles, brother. I'm like 6'3" on a good day. So I'm glad, I was glad to be on the sidelines, except for the game it rained. I don't know if you were there for that, but it was terrible.
No, I wasn't there for when it rained. I was only there for one game this season. But as a northerner, boo-hoo, I guess.
Yeah.
It is 6 degrees outside right now.
Fair.
It is snowing, and I'm going to have to shovel 1.5 feet of snow when I go out to have lunch with my dad tomorrow. But it really sucks that you're
Dude, I'm telling you, my 45
degrees
degrees is terrible. It sucks so bad. Oh,
Chase,
man.
I don't know about you, but my power bill is still high from having to run the AC. Because
this
where
week
I'm at
was
in
like
Texas,
75.
They definitely don't have this white stuff that falls from the sky. And if they did, I would probably move further south than until I was in Mexico somewhere.
Yeah. Well, at least his probably snows and keeps electricity on. You and I just
That's true.
get screwed.
Wait a minute. How are you guys running the warhawkreport.com and
Radio.
a Warhawk podcast, and me, a northerner, lives closer to a city named Monroe than either of you.
I think there's a Monroe, Texas. Hold on, now I gotta look
Maybe.
it up.
Hey.
We're just fans, dude.
Yeah.
We both
I mean,
live there forever, and
I got a really expensive piece of paper. I got 2 pieces of paper that are really
That's right.
expensive from that school.
well, one of them was
Anyways.
expensive. No offense. And
Anyways, hey everybody, my name's Section. I'm the college football helmet guy on Twitter. I travel really far to go watch obscure sports like college football, all the way down in Louisiana, or it's Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, or get on a plane and fly all the way to Japan to watch the Saitama Lions play in Fukuoka and absolutely dominate when nobody else in Japan cares. And I gotta say, I love UL Monroe, and I have as a Michigan man, I have my reasons for liking UL Monroe, and let me tell you, all of them have been justified. I am the only UL Monroe fan and super fan on the Real app, and it's really annoying when people gatekeep cards for players they don't even know exists. And yeah, get ready to see even more of me next year. I'm cooking up more gifts.
So, Section, I mean, we know why we love ULM. Why ULM and not another school? Was this a bet? Was this a throw of the dart? Or how did you pick ULM and the Warhawks?
Oh, I wish it made that much sense. I am going to paint you guys a picture, the listeners a picture, and you two, Thibs and Chase, will have the honor of having some visual gags for it. But grew up in Michigan, lived in Michigan my whole life. There I am, 8-year-old me, opening day, Michigan Stadium. It's Lloyd Carr's last season, and the home opener is App State. I think we all know about arguably the greatest upset in college football history. It's arguably the reason that App State escaped the FCS and is now an FBS team. And, you know, they have their ups and downs, but they're a pretty dominant team. They proved themselves, unfortunately, against my team. But yeah, no, that started off as a really, really painful beginning to Lloyd Carr, the great Lloyd Carr's last season. My Michigan Wolverines that I grew up with, okay, all led by Chad Henne, who historically wasn't a great quarterback, but he has the most passing yards out of any quarterback in Michigan, go down the field under the guise of head coach Lloyd Carr and take down Jesus Christ himself, Tim Tebow. Okay, Tim Tebow ended his college football career on a loss to Michigan. Okay, the same Michigan that lost to App State. And it was great. It was electric. It was the best first bowl game you could ever imagine going to. Okay, so the stadium's going wild. All the Michigan fans are left, and everybody knows it's Lloyd Carr's last game. So he comes out and he addresses the stadium and he says, "Michigan Nation, thank you so much for the honor of letting me be your head coach these past 13 years. As you know, next season I won't be here. But this man right here," and he points to the man next to him, and he says, "This man right here will lead the program going forward. Let me introduce you to the one, the only Rich Rodriguez."
Oh.
And everybody's going ecstatic, right? We're like, wow, oh, cool. You know what, Lloyd, you didn't have the best last season, but hey, you like this guy, we like this guy. How good of a season Rich Rod led us in his opening debut.
I can only imagine from when his one season of his being an OC.
Okay, so again, you know, Michigan's been playing football since the 1800s. The Rich Rodriguez led us to the single worst season we've had in school history. We went 3-9, historically bad. Like, Michigan has head coaches and we've had our ebbs and flows. I think he is the only head coach in like the past 50 years or so that has only been the head coach for 2 seasons. Like, he got fired in 2009.
yeah.
But anyways, so, you know, everybody in Michigan knows who Rich Rod is. Worst coach we've ever had. Fast forward a little bit. It's 2020. It's the COVID year. Harbaugh has been the head coach for 5 years now. Not doing great, not doing awful. He did what he did at Stanford, where he comes in strong, but with Stanford, he really gassed them up. I think it was it was either San Diego or San Jose was another college that he was at. He took a middling program. He gassed them up. Did the same at Michigan. We were under Brady Hoke. Weren't that great. Harbaugh comes in, immediately does a bang, but he lulls. 2020 season, we go 2-4. Awful. And so at the end of that season, I was a little broken as a Michigan fan. And so I came away with it in that offseason thinking, okay, I don't know how sustainable this is. Harbaugh's taking a pay cut. I don't know if he's still going to be our head coach. And I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. I don't know if we're going to have a season this season. Like, is it going to be any fun? I've been broken too many times. And then I thought in my head, who could possibly do it worse than Jim Harbaugh? And a little core memory unlocked in my brain. Rich Rodriguez. I wonder where he is now. Lo and behold, he's UL Monroe's newest offensive coordinator.
What?
I know I've been following him passively ever since, but this year, especially with the release of EA Sports College Football 25, I saw the disrespect, as many ULM fans did, of not only being ranked 134 out of 134, but more importantly, people were rebuilding Kennesaw State. But Kennesaw State was ranked, or should have been ranked where we were ranked. But yeah, no. So that got me to start actually caring a little bit more. I watched every game, and several sports teams that I work with kind of hate me now because they're stuck with me for a set amount of time. And so I would get a Roku and make them watch ULM games. And at first they were annoyed, and then they saw how stupid we played this year, and they're like, oh my God, Section, you're right. What? This doesn't make sense. How are they winning? Yeah. Local bars around Michigan, when the Michigan game's not on, or when the Michigan game's over, I'm friends with a couple bar owners. I'm like, hey, I know you got ESPN Plus, put on ULM. They put it on the smallest screen in the bar, and I'm just going ape shit when we score against UAB. And some of the Texas fans are just looking at me like, hey, you know what? I like this. So they start cheering with me too. And then anytime Booty at the time, and I think Armenta had one in there as well, gets a touchdown, I go ballistic, and then I point to all the Texas fans. I'm like, hey, this is your warning call. You play him next, okay, buddy? hey, get ready to lose. You may have beaten Michigan. You're not beating the Warhawks. So they did. But yeah, no, it's just been a really fun season all around.
What a villain story. What a villain origin story. I love it. It's full of hate for Rich Rod, which
dude, you guys are the only people. ULM is the only fan base who even scratches the surface of how much we hate that guy.
I don't know if ULM I don't know if I think I'm kind of indifferent towards him because he was just there for
you shouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, that's the tough part, is that no offense to your Michigan roots, anytime I see a Sunbelt team, I realize they weren't Sunbelt at the time. Anytime I see a Sunbelt team do something like that, I love it so much. But that's just, I didn't grow up love like a, blue chip like Michigan. But yeah, anyways, I love the story, dude. What a villain story. Rich Rod can I'm happy he's having the success he is.
Yeah, well, he's going. Speaking of Rich Rod, I know this is a Warhawk podcast, but did you guys see his press conference when he officially went back to West Virginia?
And the people yelling at him
no, it's not even that they were yelling at him. There was a little quote that he gave, and he's like, man, you know what? I really regret leaving West Virginia for Michigan. The replies were nothing but, yeah, so are we.
So do we. That's
funny. Yeah, no. And what makes it even more fitting to ULM season, I'd say, and Michigan season, coincidentally, is every year I have the game. I request time off years in advance, right? On one day, the last Saturday in November, every year, because I'm going to the game, right? But so this year I had it requested off, and after I think it was after the Washington game, I'm like, oh, we kind of suck this year, because it was a toss-up. Do I want to go to the Battle of the Bayou or Battle on the Bayou, or do I want to go to the game? For a majority of the year, I'm like, I'm going to the game. Columbus is right there. And then we lost to Illinois. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to go down. I'm going to do the rational thing and drive 2,100 miles down to Monroe, Louisiana. And lo and behold, Michigan somehow won and ULM lost. So the surefire game didn't happen.
Sounds like, there just sounds like a common denominator here, but I'll let other people.
Wait, no. Because in 21, I rushed the field at Michigan Stadium when we beat Ohio State. In 22, I wasn't allowed to rush the toilet bowl because it's the toilet bowl. And then in 23, I rushed the field again. Okay, don't put this on me.
Well, I'm glad you got to experience the Lafayette game. It's as a ULM fan, it's definitely my favorite. And I think year in, year out, usually a really competitive game. Lafayette's always good. ULM is, ups and downs. And then, but ULM will be 2-10 and go in, or 2-9 and go in there and beat them. It's always a fun game.
And vice versa. I mean, what was his name? Ricky Bustle's last game was in Malone Stadium. Missed PA or blocked PAT was the difference, and they win 21-20.
Oh, that was I remember. So I'm not trying to sound like is this a PG podcast?
No.
I wrote that one. That was my fault.
I should have asked pre-show, but I just kind of didn't.
Fault.
I blame the wonderful taste of Flying Tiger. I got a Men at Arms Amber. That was
in the Monroe
great.
mood.
So it's so graciously provided to me. I think his name's Tim. The day before I drove down, he was texting me. He went to like 6 different places to get me beer. Like specifically because he knew I wanted Flying Tiger. He got me these ones and then the citrus tall boy. Anyways,
juicy.
So I'm not trying to sound like a dick here or anything because I understand. Michigan, blue blood, like our tailgates are bigger than y'all's Walmart parking lot, right? Another reason I was really excited to go to the battle on the Bayou is because I've never experienced a rivalry game that
didn't have 100,000
other than the 2 teams that are involved is inconsequential, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because Michigan Ohio State is the rivalry, right? That's you can say it's the Red River rivalry, you can say it's the Iron Bowl, it's the game. That's the one that matters. So
you're saying the best one. Hold on. You're saying the best one in college football?
I'm saying in sports.
In all of sports?
Wow.
Of course.
You say it's the greatest, and you didn't watch Texas A&M this year?
I mean, no, of course I didn't. I was at the battle on the Bayou, but also ours started because of a war.
I don't care to go into
the Toledo
Michigan.
War.
No, I don't care to go into Michigan history.
But
I'm sorry to cut you off.
Let's back up some good old Southland rivalry.
It's a way of life. Like children are raised to hate Michigan and Ohio, like vice versa.
But Stephen F. and Northwestern State played for a 6'4" wooden chief.
That's true.
You know what? I can trump you guys. The Rock, Slippery Rock versus IUPUI. Or no, IUP, the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Fuck the Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Okay, rock all day, baby. That's a better rivalry than anything else. No, but yeah, so I was really excited to go down there, and I gotta say the vibes were interesting. I heard from everybody that they were so mad that it was an 11 a.m. game.
Yes,
because the turnout would have been so much better if it wasn't.
It would have been, but
it would have been better. No.
People can say that.
Look, man, I have no frame of reference.
But
I've been to a Lawrence Tech game. Okay, you guys were better than that.
JMU was a great environment. I think there were 20,000 there. That was a really fun environment and a great game. And most of the crowd didn't leave at all until the game was over. I mean, it was a very, very fun time. You know what you really need to do, and this is an insider tip, and welcome to the ULM fan club, is that if ULM ever plays Grambling, that's a game to go to because it's always a great atmosphere. It's always packed out. You got both
any SWAC game.
30 minutes. Yeah. Very fun. Very, very fun. One of the greatest environments I've ever seen.
Are you saying that the FCS game next year against St. Francis is not a
Who?
Is that
one to
confirmed,
circle?
by the way? Is that confirmed?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Who?
cool. I'm just making sure because you got your sources. I got my sources. My sources says it is. Your sources say it is. But I can confirm right now. Also, if you guys are going to make the trip, I will be going to the Northwestern game. The minute the tickets are available,
Yeah, we'll be there.
I am buying those because it's a 4-hour drive from me. Right. Also, it's not in Chicago. As a Midwesterner, it is my duty and my honor to let everybody know Northwestern is not in Chicago. It is half an hour north in a town called Evanston, an hour if you take the CTA. It is not Chicago. If you go to Northwestern expecting to be in Chicago, you are not going to be in Chicago.
Didn't know that.
But the temporary stadium is confirmed for the 2025 season.
This is a PSA, or public sock announcement. Experts have declared Bombas socks as the best way to warm up chilly feet. These pairs are super cushy, soft, and designed for maximum coziness. Plus, for every pair purchased, another pair will be donated, so someone in need of essential clothing can stay warm this winter. Go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
St. Francis game is the date is in flux, that it could be a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday game.
Yeah,
Thursday I won't go, but wait. Sorry, Thibs. I know I'm going to cut you off. St. Francis
Shocker.
in
Pennsylvania,
Loretto, Pennsylvania, with undergraduates, a total enrollment of a little over 2,000. That's who we're playing?
Yes.
Yep.
That sucks.
Does it?
No, I wish we'd play like.
I'm sorry. Were we or were we not one win away from
Southeastern?
going bowling?
Yeah, but we
Look,
beat.
if the SEC can do it, we can do it.
That's true. And I guess if it's not them, it's going to be a money game, and I'd rather them than a money game.
Also, nothing's for certain. I don't know if you pay attention to NAIA. Fucking Lawrence Tech, they won 2 games. And I don't know if you know anything about Lawrence Tech. That's outstanding for them. They suck.
NAIA. Brother, you're down that rabbit hole pretty hard.
Well, I mean, hey, look.
I know about Oklahoma Baptist University. That's about it.
Go Blue Devils, I guess. They beat Madonna, which Madonna.
That's a dope name. It's a cool name.
Well, Madonna is a film art school. Didn't know they had a football program until Lawrence Tech beat them. But no. So nothing's a given. And again, as a Michigan man who was at the App State game, let me tell you, don't count your chickens before they roost.
Yeah, Chase, you're too young to remember when ULM lost a game where they were shut out in the second half and lost to Northwestern State.
The hell is Northwestern State?
Northwestern State.
Is that like crackhead Ivy League?
Demons. They are a small school in Natchitoches, Louisiana. It's and if I hold on, I'm gonna try to pull up the word for you here in a second, but you would not know that it's called Natchitoches. It's one of those that are spelled really weird.
Pronounce any of the local establishments in Monroe.
But it's like one out the Shreveport.
Speaking of states that start with M, you see what happened to our boy
Hardy?
Yeah, he went to the wrong block M.
Well, but good for him. I mean, he's getting money. I was definitely surprised that that's where he went. I really thought it was a 2-horse show between Auburn and Ole Miss.
No,
especially
Ole Miss
being close to his home. Yeah.
Old Miss got that. They pulled out a different running back. Can't remember the kid's name, but I think that pretty much showed him that, hey, Old Miss doesn't really have a home for him, because you have to know that, yes, the money's good. And I don't blame Hardy at all for leaving. Let's be real. This is the first pretty decent year that ULM has had in a long time. And if Bryant Vincent stays and he actually proves himself at ULM, which I'm worried that he's going to leave. I hope he doesn't leave this year. 1 year is an insane position to take as a head coach. But if he stays and he proves himself and he has a couple more good years at ULM will start being competitive. So I don't blame Hardy at all for leaving, because that kid was a true freshman, the only running back with over 1,000 rushing yards in the Sun Belt. Kid is amazing. That said, even at his young age, because he's like 17, 18, something like that, I'm pretty sure he at least knows the trope of Sun Belt running backs going to P4 schools and then never being heard from again. And I think he saw the writing on the wall at Ole Miss when they got that. I think it was a 4-star running back to transfer there. And I think he made a business move where he's like, okay, I can go to Ole Miss. They might pay me more because it's Ole Miss, but I'm probably never going to see the field again.
Because I think it's good on, transfer guys. I think it's smart by Ahmad to kind of look at what situation he's going into, because I don't think too many kids think. I think they just see dollar signs and then they kind of jump at the highest dollar sign they see. But, I think situation, especially when you're trying, at running back in college, he's not going to make $10 million, right? So to kind of realize that you still need at that position to take the next step. You can argue that quarterbacks may not, need to rush anywhere anymore, but running backs and other positions, I think, should definitely consider the situation. And Missouri's obviously has some really great NFL talent. I think that's a great, I'm looking at their roster here. They have 8 running backs on their website, and 3 of them are seniors or transferring. So,
yeah,
I good for him. Hey, I know that they've got to be excited. He's a stud, like you said. I'm excited to see what he does there.
I just hope that him going there was kind of his decision and not an outside influence that was really pushing him there. Because at the end of the day, I feel like he was happy on the Bayou. He was happy in Monroe. And so you just got to hope that kind of happiness follows him, even though he's going to be a little bit further away from home. Yeah. Not in the fertile hunting grounds like I know he likes to be in also.
He did say something, right? I think they got horses in Kentucky or something like that, which is an all-time quote by a very country kid. I'm just looking at real quick. Their top 2 rushers are both seniors this year. One with 157 carries, one with 134. So, hey.
Yeah.
And one of those was Cameron Peoples, right? The former App State running back.
There you go again with App State. Come on, man.
Nate Noel and Marcus Carroll.
Nate Noel. That's who I was thinking of. Sorry.
Yeah.
He is a former App State.
I mean, part of me, I think if Hardy really wants to shine, I don't know just yet if he jumped the gun, because, especially, I keep bringing it up. I keep sounding like a broken record. That all said, before the portal or anything like that, Michigan really was one of those schools where you developed, you stayed for all 4 or 5 years, depending if you redshirted. And, like our whole slogan is those who stay will be champions. Yeah. Thanks for the quarterback, by the way. Yeah, we develop and we've got all this going on now, but, and now we're getting into NIL with Sharon Moore. But before that, we were staunchly one of the blue bloods that said built, not bought, right? You look at Tom Brady's story. People like to give us flack for claiming Tom Brady because he didn't play until his 5th year, right? And even then he was in a QB battle, but that's how Michigan worked. And anytime he talks about Michigan, he doesn't say it as if it's a bad thing. But we have a lot of running backs. Look at Mike Hart. Look at Jabril Peppers. He walked so Travis Hunter could run, right? Michigan is one of those schools where you develop. And so my big worry for Hardy is I'm not saying that I don't think that he's talented enough to be up with the big dogs in P4. I'm just wondering, is Missouri a good school to develop? Because I don't think he's going to see a lot of the field next year. I'm going to be brutally honest. Nor do I think he should, because he's going up to a new level. He's not going to be playing in the Sun Belt anymore. He is playing in the big dog SEC. He's already in his head had to have accepted. They're not winning any championships. They're not winning any big rivalry games. But it is a good place to harbor and grow your skills. But is Missouri the right place to do it? Or should he have stayed at ULM or maybe a Sun Belt, or should he have tried to go to the Big Ten? You know what I mean? Because the Big Ten predominantly produces a lot of good running backs, where the SEC is a conference, kind of like how the Pac-12 was, where they don't really have a pass defense. And it's a very pass-heavy, high-scoring game. Like, yeah, Georgia and Bama and LSU, they have running backs, sure. But you look at some of you look at like a top 20, top 50 best SEC highlight plays of the last 20 years. Maybe a handful of them will be running backs. Almost all of them are going to be like Carson Beck throwing a 70-plus yard tutty. So I'm just a bit worried that even though he can be great at Missouri and he can develop at Missouri, I don't know if it's the right school for him.
Don't you love, Thibs, the Northern Big Ten bias? Because it's refreshing to get out of the SEC bias here. I really do appreciate that section, because I don't know. I think like I said, I think he's a star player. I think, a great nutrition program and a great strength program over an off season, I think we'll notice a lot. I'll be watching the spring game to see how he looks and see where he's at on depth chart. And, I think it's better opportunity than Ole Miss. Maybe not Auburn. Auburn was in a pretty bad spot, but Auburn's also one of those, just produces.
So, Chase, I don't remember if we talked about it. Did we talk last week about the UL Most Bowl situation?
The UL Most Bowl situation. No.
Now, Marshall.
I think I cut you off a lot last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a given.
Sure.
Where Marshall had their entire roster hit the portal so that they can make their way to Hattiesburg.
Mm-hmm.
Thus, they did not have a roster that, as they said, for player safety was enough to go against Army, and had to pull out of the Indy Bowl. Then we go to the best 5 and 7 teams for APR.
Yeah.
No one wants it because they're all on semester and out of school, except for the school just down I-20 that is on the quarter system, thus still in school, and everybody's on campus and happy. ULM 3 points away from being 4 points rather from having a better APR than said school, and thus getting to go to the Independence Bowl.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Because to me, I don't like there being kind of the asterisk or the stank on the bowl. Like, it's not earned. You kind of backboard your way in. Plus, we wouldn't have Hardy. We wouldn't have Booty. We wouldn't have
James
Carter,
Jones, Bennett Galloway.
Jones. You go down the list. Would that have really even been a ULM team on the field if we had those 4 APR points?
Well, it's tough to say. I mean, you gave a kid 25 carries a game, and then he leaves you, right? And he couldn't. I don't know if he could or couldn't come back to that game, but he probably wouldn't. Let's be honest. You lose one of your, better offensive linemen. You use a backup quarterback that you at least felt comfortable with. I don't know. I think it would have been a poor showing. I think it would have been cool to make a bowl. If I'm being honest, I would have gone, of course, but I don't think any school. I think Tech was as much as I hate to say anything good about Tech, I think they were in a really great position still being in school. And, they were sometimes good, sometimes shit. But yeah, a traveling fan base made a lot of sense for them. Maybe even if we have the same APR, it makes a little bit more sense for them to go. So, I think that was the Independence Bowl's best option in the nation, unless you got Auburn or but no, I don't think ULM would have had. I think it, in a weird way, I think it would have been a disappointment to what feels like a climbing season, but it would have been cool to make a bowl, Thibs.
How weird would it have been though to be 5-8?
And back in the Independence Bowl, like I want to go to a different one.
And everyone looks at you like, you mean y'all were 8-5 this year? No, we were 5-8, baby.
Oh, that would have been terrible, Thibs. It's not a good thing.
As if we didn't have a bad enough kick in the Kuyons on the 5-7 season. We get to go 5-8.
Yeah, let's lose another one. And
I mean,
just a stark reminder of what this offense looks like without Ahmad Hardy. That would be so brutal.
And it's a flashback to 2020 where it was 0-10. Luckily, we'll never see that again. Knock on wood, that we'll never be 0-10 again. So, with that said, we had that news. We had more men's basketball losses, including a tough one against Houston Christian. It's conference play, and it's not going to get any better. What's the right answer?
6 points. Man, there's no more. I mean, you got a long schedule ahead of you, Thibs. And if you look on this ESPN, there's not a lot of green W's. There's a lot of red L's. And I think at this point you start, you got to start at looking at what. I mean, we know what's going wrong. We kind of broke it down last week, right? Like we've got to. You got. I would say score more, but looking at these scores, you got to play better defense. I mean, I don't know what you do, man. I mean, you're in a bad spot. It's not time to throw your hands up yet, but it's about dang time to start thinking about other options.
Does that mean you're in favor of a coaching change, or is that even the right answer?
I don't know if it's the right answer. I think you got to change something. And sadly, I like Richard. I understand what he's done for basketball. I understand what he's done for basketball in Louisiana. I think he's been a champion for both the state and the game. I think he's done everything the right way that he can. I think you've got a young AD, and not obviously he's not a young person. No offense, John Hartwell. You're not old, but you get it. And you've got to.
I'll send him that clip, by the way.
Please don't. And you've got to, you've got an AD that's young in the job there at ULM, and he's already come in and made waves, and they've had a lot of success really quickly. Think about women's basketball last year. Think about Brian Vincent, right? And I think he's surely got to feel like he's on the chopping block for that, because it's just you can't go through this winning 20% of your games, and it's time to. Sadly, he's the scapegoat. Whether he's the problem or not is not up to debate. It's just, it's just his responsibility as the head ball coach.
Worst case scenario, do you have Missy pull double duties? Do you have her coaching men's?
Absolutely. Have her.
Is that logistically possible? Because they don't play the double. They don't play the double headers. So.
Yeah, no shot. But what an exciting human being that I'd love to see. Just she's not necessarily the tallest person in the world, just ripping on like AD Diju, who's like 7 foot tall, and she's just getting after him. The thought of it is enticing. It's exciting.
Maybe, depending on what happens with Brian Vincent and the possibility of him leaving, you have all these assistants that are still on staff, right? You're just like, hey, you want to keep earning a paycheck through May? What do you know about basketball?
I do know one head coach who recently got let go, who I think would be very fitting for UL Monroe's basketball program. And hey, he was a stud back in his day. He was a part of the Fab Five. Juwan Howard, he's still looking for work.
Nice.
We can't afford Juwan Howard.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let's
Yeah.
go get Penny.
Yeah, he's going to leave Memphis. Well, he might. Well, no, because then he'd have to face Arkansas State all the time.
We'll take Michigan's sloppy leftovers any day.
Hey,
There's your next
hey.
hit.
hey, sloppy seconds is very generous for what that man did.
Very true.
Women took the L against Mississippi State. Like I said, 8-point loss. I don't really read too much into it. I thought it was about a 5-6 point loss in all actuality. There were some trash points there at the end.
Yeah.
What do you feel, though, needs to happen for that team to kind of get back to atop the standings? I think they're on a 5-game losing streak right now. I mean, that includes, like I said, the Mississippi State, the Alabama teams in there.
Yeah.
Is it a panic button or is it?
No, I think
non-conference?
you're super encouraged the way they bounce back from Georgia Tech to Mississippi State. Like I said, I think they've got some things figured out. They've got to make up for a lack of scoring they've had, but I think you've just had a few hard games in a row. I mean, I don't want to say Lamar's probably a hard game for him, but you've kind of had but it's at Lamar, right? You know what I mean? I mean, that's tough. Thankfully, you got to go to Hawaii. You got to play Alabama. Yeah, I think it's just, I think they still have time. Like they kind of she has a young history, which plays to her favor, Bilderbeck in that sense that, she's got time to kind of take that, last year was so good that I think you give her a little bit of grace and just say, you know what, those 6 games look like from the beginning of the season, they were going to be hard anyways. And, let's start moving as we get closer to conference to 1 game away. Let's start, let's work on being competitive in the Sun Belt.
I'm still impressed that we had 2 SEC teams coming to Fant Ewing.
That's cool. You play one of them within 8 points, really.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
And Bama, we learned, is pretty damn good.
Yeah. Turns a surprise.
No show next week as Chase gets to live out his fantasy and be Santa Claus. One time.
Hey, that is a fat joke from the top rope, and I will not stand for it. That's terrible.
Will you sit for it?
Section both of you.
Also, I've been informed by a couple sources that it's not looking good for a certain head coach.
Oh no!
Oh yeah. I think that the writing's on the wall, and is what it is. The only thing good out of it I could say is this would be the first time that I can think of since Smoke Laval was the head coach of baseball that we have had a coach leave ULM and not be told to leave ULM.
Right. And I get that. And that's a good thing. Believe me, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But 1 season, I would still be bummed if he stayed 1 more and then left next season. I'm more devastated if my sources are right, not only because, hey, we see a little bit of success. We defy odds. We were projected to win 1.5 games this year, and we very easily could have won 7,
Sure.
And then he leaves. That sucks, especially because now we're going to go through another identity crisis. But also think of all the kids who transferred here specifically for him. You know what I mean? Now what are they going to do?
Yeah, you just got some New Mexico transfers and
those Lobos, and it's like, and say hypothetically he goes to Jacksonville State, that program's going to be a mess as it is, because it's not going to be on the scale of the Marshall players going to Georgia Southern,
sure.
but their locker room's going to be divided, because I'm sure plenty of those kids came for Rich Rod. No idea why, but they did. And now you're going to have
ULM. That's why.
Well, yeah. Well, that's another reason you guys hate him. But now those kids who abandoned the Warhawks like the snakes they are. Now they're going to be led by ULM legend. Let's be real. I mean, doing what he did. Yeah, we didn't go bowling, but he did what no other man, I think, could in his position. He's always going to be very favorably remembered, even if he leaves, which will tarnish it slightly for some fans, but I'd like to think most people will think of the good times. But now you've got that messy room of kids at Jacksonville State who blindly think, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to enter the portal so I can go with Rich Rod. And then they'll get a harsh reality that, no, you can't go to West Virginia. You know what I mean? So there's going to be kids who don't want to be there, but also aren't good enough to go to West Virginia, mixed in with kids from ULM who came to ULM because of Brian Vincent. Now they're going to want to go to Jacksonville State, and it's going to be messy of, okay, well, do you deny ULM kids or do you cut Jacksonville State? Like, I think it's going to be a mess overall. And I think it's just bad, not necessarily for the sport of college football, but I think it's going to be bad. A lose-lose for the players overall.
I'm with you, dude. And I hope they do some soul searching on why you're going to lose an obvious talent, bright talent that you found.
Like I say with Ryan Day, give Brian Vincent a lifetime contract.
Make it a $50 million buyout and give him name a street after him. I'm with you. Let's put a statue up front. He beat JMU at home.
Look at Marshall. They got those biscuits. Okay. Give Gross. Brian Vincent, okay, a lifetime supply. The Johnny's asterisk 1 pizza a day. But he can have as much cheese as he wants.
Nacho cheese. The ULM
on that
guy
note,
here, Thibs.
It's time to try to find something to eat. Maybe some Johnny's left over in the freezer from my last trip back to Monroe. But we'll get out of here. We'll talk in the new year, Chase. Have a good Christmas section. Have a good Christmas, good New Year.
Section.
Hey, you too.
And we'll do it again soon.
This is a PSA, or public sock announcement. Experts have declared Bombas socks as the best way to warm up chilly feet. These pairs are super cushy, soft, and designed for maximum coziness. Plus, for every pair purchased, another pair will be donated, so someone in need of essential clothing can stay warm this winter. Go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.